Now if you're somewhat familiar to my channel, you might have seen a couple of videos featuring this computer before. This is my audio workstation, it's also my video workstation and just my general all-round computer. And it's getting on a fair bit at this point. It's running an AMD FX 8350, I think. And to some people, that processor might be completely sort of depreciated by now and sort of no longer usable, but I found a hell of a lot of use out of it still, and it's to me, it's really powerful. It seems to do everything I chuck at it. But one thing I need to actually upgrade is my storage. As right now, I'm mostly doing all my video production, everything, off of a single 60GB SSD. This is because I do all my video editing on the Linux side of things, and a 500GB, I think it's actually a 5400 RPM hard drive that's about 10 years old at this point. So things are a little bit slow. I kind of want to speed things up a little bit. So let's open it up and have a little look inside. There we are, so I've got it opened up. We can actually see the other drives I've got in here. I'm actually booting Windows off of a 256GB Samsung, I think it's an 850 Evo drive, and I've got two 1TB Western Digital Blue drives in here as well. And actually, if I just pull out the little Corsair SSD here that Linux is running off, yeah, you can just see it's sort of just tucked in above my floppy drive. Long story, there's some videos on it, and between my Blu-ray drive. So I thought, let's sort of get rid of this sort of like jerry-rigged, like just hanging there drive, and let's put some faster storage in and some expandability. Because I'm actually starting to really run out of space now, so I would like some more space. So what I went out and did is I went and got myself, on the normal SSD side, I've got myself this, which is a Silverstone Caddy, and what I can do is I can put this in the 5¼ inch bay, in between the floppy drive, once again, don't ask, there's videos on it, and my optical Blu-ray writer and reader, and that actually gives me a little bit of expandability. Expandability that I'm going to fill with hard drives like this, which is a Crucial MX500, this is a 1TB. And I'm thinking about using this one for video and music work, just having all my stuff on there, really, really lightning fast, rather than being on, like I said, an old rickety 5400 RPM mechanical hard drive that's about 10 years old at this point, not particularly trustworthy anymore. Now with this motherboard, I've actually filled up, I think, about 6 out of 8 of the possible SATA slots, so you know, this isn't going to be enough if I do fill all of these, but I'm planning on, if I need to, just getting like a PCIe expansion card. What I'd like to do is eventually I'd like to stick another drive cage in here and have some sort of server style hard drives, something like a Western Digital Red, and you know, have like a couple of terabyte ones of those, stick them in like a RAID Z, or RAID Z, you know, using like a ZFS. Some of that as like a backup, like an on-site backup, and then everything else will be used for storage. But this isn't the main event, no, 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 no. The main event will be this, which is a ADATA XPG M.2 SSD. This is the 1TB one, cost me an arm and a leg. So this is a PCIe to M.2 expansion card. I got this one specifically because it has a really nice large heatsink on it, because even though SSDs tend to be cooler than, you know, normal hard drives, and this has a little heatsink on itself, I thought, if I'm using this as the main boot drive, I want to have it to be as cool as possible. In fact, what I'm thinking about doing first, I think I might just get this open, put the SSD in there, then sort of unplug the other drives, take this off with the side panels off over, install Ubuntu, and if that all works, then we'll install the others. So this is actually looking a little bit more complicated than I first thought. So I actually have, I'm not taking out the anti-static just yet. This is the main plate, and actually if you look at the size of that, I knew that the M.2 drive was going to be small, but wow, it's really small. Something that's quite good actually is that they've actually supplied two different PCIe panels, but neither is actually attached. So I'm currently trying to work out from a tiny bag of screws, which comes with a screwdriver, which is very handy, which screws are which to put this all together. So yeah, let's just get the M.2 SSD out, and my god, they are absolutely tiny. Just my hand, for example, they are tiny, tiny. So this is actually the heatsink that comes with it, and that's for if you were to plug it straight into like the motherboard, for example. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the heat pads and the pretty hefty heatsink that's come actually included with the PCIe drive. The next time you see these, they're going to be all assembled together into the PCIe card. Wish me luck. Just a little message for the people at Silverstone. Something that you could do that could make life a little bit easier is you've got package information here, you've got just the screws listed, but there's no real way of me working out which one's which, so I'm just sort of getting them out one at a time and seeing which one fits the panel. This isn't quite as easy as Lego, unfortunately. And there we are, and hey look, I actually remembered to put the light on this time, so it's not going to be super pitch black. Well, it's all in now. I've got to say, that was one of the most stressful computer building experiences I've ever had. There was this like plastic sort of film on there that wasn't mentioned at all in the instructions, and it was really difficult to pick off, and so I can only assume I had to pick it off, because otherwise it was covering up these holes. You get lots of different thermal pads of different sizes, but it only states in a very small bit in the instructions which is which, and it suddenly asks for the 1mm thick blue one, so I've got to bring out my tape measure and start measuring them up. Could have been a lot easier. This had better bloody work, I've got to say. Felt like I just sort of stuck blue tack all over it, that being the thermal paste. I actually have 4 PCI Express slots available. One is a ×4, but that's directly under this graphics card here. And I have this one, which is directly below. I could plug it in, but there's going to be no airflow. I see my print down here, but because the heatsink's quite large, I want it pushing against the power supply or blocking these cables. So I'm going to put it in this one right here. And it doesn't actually matter that it's a ×16 slot, as it'll just go down to being a ×4. Oh, there we go, and we're in. Perfect. Now at this point, I still have that drive bay and those other drives to have a look at, but I want to now get this plugged back in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug all the other drives and just have this sitting on its own. See if I can boot into, I've got Ubuntu Studio Linux on here, see if I can boot into that, see if I can get that installed. In fact, I'm also going to, while we're here, unplug and remove, if I can, this Corsair, because it's going to be the first one, after doing its time just sitting there, just sort of half diagonal. It's going to be the first one, there we are, to go into the new drive bay. So I'm going to get those unplugged, and yeah, let's see if it'll install. So there it is in the case. I haven't actually turned the computer on yet, but it's plugged into the wall. Let's see if I switch this on. Is that LED going to light up? Oh, it lights up. Okay, let's go to the boot screen. And so here we are, we've now booted into the install screen for Ubuntu Studio 20.04 LTS. And let's reboot it and see if it just boots straight in. Hit restart. Normal loading screen. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Breathe in. Hit enter. Come on, you can do it. There's the splash screen. And we are in. And this looks like, yep, this is recognising my proper setup. So there you go. And here we now are at a little bit of a different angle. So I've got the NVMe SSD installed. Ubuntu Studio is also installed on there. First thing I'm going to do is I have a little bit of spring cleaning to do, because actually I've been getting dust out of this recently, but I think, especially since I've taken the back plate off, it's going to need a little bit of a clean. So I've got some compressed air here and I'm going to hoover the other bits up in a minute. Let's give her a clean. God, there is dust in bits I didn't even realise could have dust. I'm going to have to get the hoover out. There we go, that's significantly cleaner. So, as well as that, I wanted to get a couple more SSDs to go with just this one here. But as you can see, I'd run out of space in my drive cage. So what I've got is I've gone out and I've bought myself this Silverstone hot swappable cage for SSDs. Now, it's in a couple by ICDoc, I think they call it. It's in them recommended. I couldn't find one. I'm going to probably have people showing me now ones that are there, but I couldn't find one that did all 3 things I needed it to do. And that was have a lock on the front to keep everything nice and secure. Have fans. This one actually I think has 2, but I was looking for at least a fan to keep the SSD cool. And I know this Corsair has been sitting here, you know, not having any cooling and has been fine, but I thought, you know, I'm putting a few here next to each other, I want them to be cooled. And lastly was it was SATA powered, because a lot of them were Molex powered, and it's just a hassle trying to get enough Molex connectors up here and have to plug them into the power supply. I thought, why not just SATA? So let's open her up and see what it looks like inside. And here we are, this is one sort of weighty beast. It's made of, even though it's quite a lightweight metal, it's made of aluminium, but still it's quite got a fair bit of heft to it. These drives are properly locked in. Got 2 fans in the back, SATA power. It's looking really cool. Just a little thing I want to bring up here actually is a little bugbear I had while trying to look up these SSDs, was the fact that a lot of SSD companies seem to be reluctant to say which kind of like NAND they're using. I think there's SLC, NLC, TLC and QLC. And I think all the drives I've got are TLC, which as they go down from S to Q, they get slower and they can have fewer writes done to them, but they get cheaper and you get more space in them. And I don't mind having the TLC so much, but QLC, I don't know, maybe I'm just being paranoid, I do really want it, but a lot of companies just aren't showing that, and it was very difficult to actually find out the information on it. So I think this one was, well, this is before QLC, but one I was able to find which is definitely TLC is this Crucial here. So I'm actually going to be putting both these drives in this drive bay. I'm actually going to leave the Samsung one that's got Windows on it down here in the drive cage, just because I just like having it there. So yeah, let's get the front plate off. I'm actually going to have to take off the whole front itself. I feel like I should have this achievement unlocked because I've now used up all 3 of these bays. So I've got the front plate off, and we'll just want to do a little bit more dusting, I think. There we are, and so now we have this nice empty space in between my Blu-ray reader writer and my floppy drive. And it's going to give us a dust off and see if we can just slot it in. It goes in perfectly, and actually the brushed metal of the aluminium I think suits the look of this quite nicely. Oh, there we go. Into the slot. Oh, there we are. Well, that's certainly in now. Let's just put it a little bit further back, and there we are. I think we've clicked in place there. Okay, let's get the front plate face back on. Let's see what this is going to look like when it's all done. Well, that looks quite smart, doesn't it? Okay. Keys right here. Let's get one of these drive bays unlocked, and let's pop the Corsair in there. So the size I'm going to do is, because I just have two to put in here at the moment, I'm actually going to put them on the two lower ones, because a fan either side, so I thought they might as well get a fan for themselves. And I'm going for the lower, because heat rises, so we may as well have them lower where less heat would have potentially risen. Go in there, and ooh, that seems to be unlocked actually. How do I get that open? Oh, I just pull it out, and aha! It comes out like this. I'm going to take my Corsair 60GB SSD, I'm going to stick it in this way. Oh, something I wanted to mention actually is that on this it's advertised as a 2.5-inch SAS/SATA driver. If you're just using SATA drives like me, then that'll work fine. It's a SAS or SATA, so SAS is a serial attached SCSI, and yeah, you don't have to worry if you're not using that because it just won't affect it. On there, so I just need to get this on there and get this bolted on. And there we are, 4 easy screws later, ready to put it in. So we're nice and straight, getting it both sides, and there we are, and we're in. And that should hopefully now work. So let's actually now have a look at the other drive that's going to be going in its neighbour slot. Actually, before I do that, let's make sure it's nice and safe. So we're going to put it in and locked. No getting that drive out. Right, so this is the Crucial MX500. I'm actually almost thinking that every SSD I should buy, I should just have a different one just to see what they're all like. Have all the different flavours of SSDs. And oh, look at that. Here we are, here's the SSD in all its glory. It's metal, probably another sort of aluminium. 1TB. I've never had a 1TB SSD before. Now I suddenly have 2. Double check that's unlocked. Right, let's get this bolted on. So there we are, our Crucial 1TB SSD is now ready to go. So we're going to slot that in. Bottom slot number 2, here we go. It's in nicely, and here we go. Oh, that went in much more easily than this one did. And we're going to lock that one up too. And then I'm just going to wire these up, and then I'll show you what I did with that on the next bit. And there we go. It's now installed. I've got a SAS drive for the Corsair there, or SAS drive here for the Corsair there, and one for the Crucial. But something I just wanted to point out here. Why the hell did they put the power SATA at the angle they did? Basically, I've got this horrible coil now where the top one that's going into the Blu-ray drive has to do a complete twist around to plug the next one in, which then has to twist around again. In fact, I'll take a picture and I'll flash it up on the screen now. Them set up. Hopefully the fans will switch on. I really hope they come default switched on, otherwise I'm going to have to try and go in here with like a toothpick and turn it on. But yeah, let's put it back together and boot in and see if we can detect the drive. And so now here we are, everything back and installed again. If we go into boot menu, I now have a load of other things here. That seems to all be installed. And there we are. I'm still just in the BIOS here, but let's go down here. We've got our NVMe drive there. If we look up here, can we see the fans spinning? Can you see the fans spinning? Hopefully. And yeah, actually, there's hardly really any noise from those. Now, one other thing I'm thinking of doing is, I guess I've always kind of had negative air pressure in this. I've had 2 140mm fans in the top exhausting and another exhausting in the back. It's a 120, and I've only had 2 140s in the front. So I'm thinking maybe I should attach some more case fans there. But that's all for now, and I hope you found this video useful, especially if you're using like an FX processor. This is now my upgrade, mostly a big storage upgrade to my audio production workstation, as well as my video production workstation and my general use computer. And if you enjoyed this, please like, share and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next video. Goodbye.